Hello and welcome back to In the Trenches, the show where we talk with people who are currently in the trenches of crypto. Today I was joined by Danny from WAM, where we discuss a bit about their history, what they're currently doing, and what they plan to do in the future. Before we get into it, please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn notifications on so you never miss out on another video. Let's get into it. So thank you, Danny, for coming along and doing this interview. Really do appreciate spending your time, talking about WAM and letting the people know, who you are and, how you operate. So if you want to kind of introduce yourself, before we get into the actual meat and potatoes and the proper questions, can you just, tell people who you are as a person, just what your role is in WAM and, kind of a bit about yourself?
Awesome. Really glad to be here. Thank you, Brogan, for inviting me and WAM. I'm Danny. I'm an Eastern Europe, former communist, let's say, child. I was born in and raised in Romania, in post-Soviet Romania, and I grew up dreaming about technology. When I saw the first computer, I knew that my entire career will be tied to computers. And since I was in high school, I started playing games. And then I started learning programming and design because of the games, because of the communities that were in those games. And I remember correctly and very specifically that Dark Throne was an MMORPG that I played in high school. And that is when I started learning about programming from other people. And ever since, my career was tied to games in one way or the other, because in 2007, I was 21 and I founded my first gaming studio. We had literally zero experience, zero knowledge, bootstrapped, everything was like zero. And we started learning about making games. Back then it was Flash, publishing games, doing deals, selling licenses, and things progressed. And when HTML5 came along, we already had about, I think at that point, 3,000 to 4,000 games made in Flash. Right, and we were publishing games on a daily basis. We had gaming portals. At the height of the traffic, we had about 35 million users a month. So in total, the games that we made and published on our network and on our partners' network reached about 4 billion users so far, ever since we launched, and about 8,000 games. And it was about, I think, 2017, when Alex and I were driving, Alex, not the other awesome Alex from Wolfswap. We were driving from our city to the capital and we were discussing, and I said, okay, man, look, let's make a platform the way I know how to make platforms, specifically for hyper casual games, because that is when hyper casual games started taking off, right? And it didn't make sense for me to download hyper casual games on my iPhone or on Android. They have like 100, 200 megabytes of data, when these games can be easily made in HTML5 and the experience and the access could be much broader. So we started crafting the idea of creating a platform back then. But we started with an idea that proved to be not to work, basically, because we wanted to go to sell this as a white label service solution for telcos, right? So we spoke with a lot of telcos from Africa, from Mexico, from the UAE, from Europe, and we learned that they don't care, they don't want it, and it was pretty much dead in the water. And back then we said, okay, we have to try something else, because the idea is still good, because we see the users that are coming in and we see the benefits of using new web technologies like reactive frameworks and whatnot. Okay, so we started WAM again. We revamped it. And I think it was 2020 when we started forming the original team. And we launched in 2021. It was a private beta. And we reached about 1 million users in 45 days with the marketing, because that's one of the things that we proved ourselves to actually know what we're doing in terms of marketing. And we got on the radar of several VCs and companies. And one of those was Miniclip. And they were amazing guys. They wanted to invest in us, but the vetting process and the entire, let's say, DD and validating the idea was too long for us. It was about 6-7 months, and we were getting bored of the whole corporate type of thing. And that is when we decided, okay, we need to do something else because we see this opportunity and we have to take it. And it was 2021 in September, and we switched like literally overnight to crypto.
Right.
We had no idea. We had no fucking idea. It was one of those moments when you jump with both your feet.
Yeah.
You have no idea the depth of the water, and you just go and do it. And we learned like literally from scratch everything that means to launch a token. This is something that I can say after 4 years. Back then it was just like step by step, and we had an amazing experience with VCs. And when I say amazing, I am thinking about a colonoscopy with sand. So that's how I associate that moment. Well, I do believe, and I have the scars to prove it, that most VCs, so-called VCs in crypto, are nothing but douchebags with some cash that they made, and they prey on projects that actually want to build something.
Right.
And this is the original story, and despite of this, we kept going. And one thing that like literally 2 months in after we launched, we were preparing to go on chain. We made plans for a huge campaign. It was still a bull market. We had no idea what the bull and bear market is felt. We knew about the concept. We knew that prices go up, prices go down, but we never felt it like literally being in the market and feeling what that is. And we made an entire marketing campaign. We filled our city with banners, and we had spots and whatnot, and everything was set to go. Half of our team back then was from Ukraine. Our CMO was from Kiev. She was she just had her baby like 6 days before the launch of the campaign. And in the same day when we launched the campaign, we had our neighbor Putin enter Ukraine and starting a war. So that was like one of the hurdles that we had to go through. And still we did it, right?
Yeah.
So this is in a very compressed story in about 5 minutes. Who am I and what we do? Why we do it? Why I do it? Why I believe it's an opportunity still? And it's not about still. It's about the numbers confirm it, and they've been confirming for the past 5 years. We're gonna talk it more on March.
Yeah. So thank you. That was a brilliant introduction. So you've proved you have a ton of history in gaming, and not only gaming, but spearheading kind of a group of people to work towards a larger goal in the sphere of gaming, right? So, I mean, you talked a bit about the way you kind of spearheaded yourselves and jumped into crypto without knowing anything there, right? So how was that kind of in the moment when you went, okay, let's make the switch? What were you feeling when you decided to make that and you talked with your team to kind of change over what you had so far and bring in crypto?
It was one of the most exciting things that we did as a team, because by the way, we were in the process of this due diligence with VCs and whatnot, and we were discussing back and forth, and I told you it was getting old, right? So being 6-7 months in a chat, it's getting boring, and the team was a bit bummed about it. And by the way, these are lessons, and I would tell everybody, and especially when starting out, do not go towards VCs, do not go through the same shit, because it makes no sense. I didn't listen to an advice that I got from an old guy from the US when we went there, very gullible, thinking that we're going to get investment. And he said something along the lines of, good money finds good companies. So instead of chasing VCs, if I would go back in time, just focus on experimenting and building something that the world has never seen, something that is also about what users want, and doing it while having fun. This is the most important thing, and avoiding the traps that steal the fun, because there are a lot of traps that steal the fun out of doing things. And when you're in that place, you need some hard decisions or a hard stomach to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's like I believe it's Ikigai with the culture in Japan, where you find something which fulfills yourself and provides value to the world. So I completely understand, where you're coming from. Right. Okay. So you also talked about your numbers. You know, you've been around the block in terms of building up something which exists, which has a lot of users. So and you talked a bit about your process of starting in crypto during the bull and bear market and everything which is going on. So you've built around 4 million users since 2019.
Yeah.
So what's it like to see that growth during this period in crypto, as opposed to, let's say, something you've done previously in Web 2? And how do you keep those people coming back, on a surface level?
Okay, so there's a lesson that we had to learn the hard way. We were accustomed to the following, let's say, scenario. In order to make money, especially in free-to-play games, you need a high volume of users in order to show a lot of ads, because most of the monetization is done through ads. So we kind of assume, like, okay, we know how to bring users, and if you're going to bring users, we're going to onboard them, and we're going to make everybody love crypto games, right? And it was quite the opposite, because we grew quite a bit in the 2022 to 2024 timeframe, and we learned that it was not the optimal moment to grow, especially when now you have two businesses: you have the token and you have the platform, right? So we kept our strategy in order to reward users for participating, but at the same time, we didn't account to the users, let's say, immediate and normal behavior of wanting to cash out, and that created quite a high sell pressure on the token without having people in the market buying it. And this is pretty much the reason. If I would go back, and right now I can actually synthesize this into the following thing. We don't need millions of people in order for crypto to go mainstream. We don't need everybody to understand crypto, for instance, crypto gaming right now, because that will happen naturally when we reach that turning point, right? When you have that inflection point and everything goes up, there's everything is slow all the way, and all of a sudden everybody's in crypto. So I do believe that is the natural thing to do. And secondly, the reason why this is actually important to go this way, to build slowly, is you can actually service the people that actually want to be there, right? So they want to be there. They want to experiment crypto. They don't care for the traditional way. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle explaining benefits to people who don't actually care about benefits, right? So these are the things that make up the lessons we learned in the past 2 or 3 years, and now are the cornerstone for the upgrades that we're implementing. We're completely overhauling our platform and the philosophy behind it, fully focused on the crypto ecosystem. No more Web 2.5 shit. It was look, a startup's business is to prove points, right? Up to on the journey, you set out with a thesis with several points. People are going to play. People are going to play mobile. A lot more people are going to get online because the connectivity costs go down and the technology allows for a lot more people to come in. Developing nations getting more access, and people wanting more entertainment. These are all proven correct. Since 2019, over and over, the trends that we saw even back then are proven to be correct. And now some of the points have to be invalidated, right? And if we invalidate those points, we need to reassess and actually make better decisions.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of the fundamentals of WAM. Okay, so you've got this platform. It has a lot of combining people together. It's like it's got the AI agents, it's got the games, right? All people who want to play games can go there, and developers. So in terms of I've seen projects before with gaming, especially when you mentioned really going deep into an aspect people want solving, like going world first into crypto. I've seen gaming companies where they really heavily focus on Web 2 and maybe add a bit of crypto, and they don't really get that traction going because it's just not there. People don't care. So in terms of solving that issue, people actually want solving in the community. I completely understand that, and that makes total sense. So in terms of these people you've brought along, how are you different? So there's other projects out there, they do similar things, obviously crypto with gaming. How do you do it differently? How are you special in the sense of what you combine, the people you combine, and what technologies you have in WAM?
I'm going to go back to the story a bit. So why we're building this? One of the main reasons is I was getting frustrated of getting deplatformed by different publishers or Apple or Google, right? So the idea is WAM is a platform with games.
Yep.
And now the focus is crypto games. And the purpose of WAM is to build technology that allows publishing of crypto games and experiencing crypto games in a fast, fun way, right? So for developers, it's easy to integrate with a simple SDK. For users, they don't have to think about it. And the token, since we started, we imagined it and we envisioned it as being a multi-platform, multi-chain token, because we don't want to limit ourselves to a single, let's say, ecosystem, because we're talking about people. Okay, so I love technology. We can talk about technology, but at the end of the day, users are people that want to have fun with other people, right? These people, you and me included, don't care when it's time to have fun what chain you're on, right? And that should not be the limiting factor. Like, I could not play with you in a tournament or just bashing each other like friends because you're on, I don't know, Solana and I'm on ETH, right? It should not matter.
Yeah.
So the idea behind WAM is to build this platform in a way that everybody brings their own assets and brings their own chains, and you can have fun, and you can make sure and be sure that what we do on WAM is first transparent, secondly is profitable for you and the entire ecosystem and the holders. This is by the way, this is one of the things that we learned. We were not in DeFi, so we had to learn along the way how does value accrue in a token based on the activity users do on a platform.
Yep.
So then a lot of things clicked, right? And now this is what we're doing, and I will actually show you some of the progress that we are having. I mean, it's almost done, but we have some stuff to finish. But how the new WAM will look, right? So we're doing a reveal here. It's a bit of a mystery box.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me mute my phone a second. So yeah, so you mentioned the combining of the capability between people actually being able to play no matter what. Okay, and I agree. Yeah. The amount of issues there are in terms of like wormholing people together between the amount of work which gets done on ETH and the amount of like NFT projects, and then how much barely there is in Solana, and it alienates tons of people. So in terms of, and I think this kind of leads into the next question here, the WAM themselves, the number one DApp on BNB chain, at one point in time, topping app stores in certain places. And this, again, also, I do believe completely links into what you've just mentioned. What do you think clicked to get yourselves in that position to see that sort of success?
I can give you a glimpse of what we did. So I do believe that luck plays a great role in every company's success. And every founder who says it was just hard work is eating a lot of shit. Right? It's a lot of luck after you've eaten a lot of shit, right? And one of the things that we were lucky with is that early on when we started, we switched to crypto, and we brought in the team a young guy who was doing TikToks, right? To TikTok videos, and he was specialized in viral content. And he said, "Look, guys, I want to work with you." Okay, let's try it out. And there were a few months of fine-tuning and figuring out what the angle is, but once that clicked, Like we had more than 500 million views on TikTok alone, plus YouTube and Instagram and whatnot. And that brought in the users. Now, looking back, that was a good strategy, but with a slightly not suited audience. This is why I'm saying now we're going full crypto, not Web 2.5, because in terms of benefits and value, the best people to understand this and to want this are the people that actually use the technology and see it bringing benefits to their own lives every day.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So it was kind of putting yourselves out there and showing people who you are in a sense. And people obviously came along. Oh, and again, like you said, it's a lot of luck. Getting that viral video, getting that content out there on TikTok, it's very hard to blow up there. So it was kind of really just the main part was advertising. Obviously, like you said, you then have now realized, Web 2.5 doesn't really work. It doesn't fully benefit people who just want to play games, and it doesn't fully benefit people who want to play crypto. It's just kind of in this limbo phase. So it's realistically, you can have a good product, but it's really where that advertising comes from.
Yeah.
Okay. So another leading question here. So again, the gaming space is massive, whether that be in Web 2 and in crypto, it does have a sizable audience. You're still, like you said, you're still reworking onto going full crypto and working that niche of being a platform where everyone can join together and get involved with gaming and crypto, right? So what's kind of been the toughest thing to break WAM into this big crowd? Like obviously, whether it be mainstream as gaming as a whole, because obviously, like you said, you're Web 2.5 for a while. So what's been the toughest part of breaking into the gaming space?
Well, I'm not sure what you're thinking of when you're asking this question. I'm going to tell you why. Given that I've been in games since 2007, the perception that I had was not of difficulty per se. It was more of, okay, what's the correct angle for the product that we're building right now?
Okay.
So what do you think when you ask this question?
In terms of, getting to the point where people should actually care. Obviously, I know that the main point should be have fun. You should show a game where people want to have fun and they come along and they play, or they come to your platform where they can play these games, right? So I get that at the base point. So whether that could be the point, or just anything where you found difficulty finding that. Obviously, you have your history, like you mentioned, and you mentioned in the intro, you have tons of history in building platforms, which amass a ton of people. And I think the spin more so is involving crypto in this way. So in terms of, was there any, what was the hardest thing about doing something you've already done before, but or you have experience in, but involving crypto with it? And was anything tough getting into trying to amass these people?
Okay, so I understand the question. Okay. The most difficult thing was to actually understand that we have two businesses. Right? Okay. So you have the token and you have the app. This was, it took time. And the reason why it took time is that when we launched at the height of the last bull cycle, and when we finished launching and we were live, 1 month in, everything started going to shit. And we had no idea what is going on. VCs were selling, users were selling, FTX was dying, Circle was dying, a lot of shit was happening in the market, and we were trying to make sense of, okay, what is actually going on here? And it took a bit of time to rebalance and to understand exactly how this beast works. And we had this idea from the beginning that we should always be focusing on the product. But given that we had to learn how GameFi, so GameFi is basically financialization of games and game activity, we had to learn what does that mean in terms of blockchain and smart contracts, and how do they work and what goes on. So that was the most difficult part in doing it ethically, by the way, specifically ethically. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's easy to do a scam. It's easy to make some shit up. This is one of the main reasons I'm frustrated with the ecosystem. The opportunity is huge. The technology allows for new business models that were not possible, right? They were not possible up to this point. Yet we keep shitting on ideas for a quick buck instead of looking like, okay, how does the next crypto gaming company look like? Can it compete with Tencent? Can it compete with, I don't know, big companies in a way that benefits everyone, not necessarily those shareholders that got access, got in, and they had the capital, right? And this is what we have in mind. This is what we're thinking about when we're saying, okay, the opportunity is huge. People are going to play by 2030. 3 billion people will be playing on their mobile phones. And that means they will have access to phones, to internet, and to crypto. Most of them will actually grow up crypto native.
Yeah.
And if you look at reports from Brazil, from Africa, from APAC, you see a lot of young people using crypto daily. And they understand the benefits. They cannot imagine a world where they have to use a credit card or whatever contraption that looks like the Middle Ages for them, right?
Yeah.
And now we have a model that allows the player to actually, in plain English, make money, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Not only getting the asset, but holding it, participating in different protocols that give yield, or an ever-growing ecosystem that turns back some of the profits back into the ecosystem, and everybody participates. If, for instance, if the team is the only one contributing and everybody's extracting things, it makes no sense for the team.
Yeah.
And for everybody, like, it's a short-term vision, right?
Yeah.
And from this point of view, we had to learn it the hard way, because we kept supporting, for instance, the token and the price as much as we could, but at the end of the day, we're still a small startup compared to I don't know, giants. And in order to grow to $1, $2, $3 billion market caps, we need first on our end to deliver a strong product that reflects this circular economy.
Yeah.
And secondly, we need everybody to just go see and look and decide for themselves. Look, I'm going to participate in this because this is actually very different. This is rewarding for me. This will be rewarding in 10 years because I'm holding something that actually grows. And I know the fucking face of that guy, right? So we're doxed from the beginning. We had to learn what doxing means. We had no idea that you can be undoxed, because look, I'm 40, right? All my life, I did business with people with my face, right? Undoxing or being doxed was something. What do you mean? What's the term? We had to look it up in the dictionary. So this is one of the many reasons why, if somebody asks, why should I be excited? This is one of the many reasons why you should be excited. And then just don't take my word for it. Go check. Go with ChatGPT and ask for the trends and ask for the usage. And everybody will be able to see, for instance, that we don't need 1 billion users to be $1 billion company. We don't need massive investments. We need participation, and we need like that community vibe, right?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we've spoken a lot across many questions about the fundamentals of WAM. How you started, the background. I want to kind of move a bit towards tokenomics now, and a bit about the WAM token. So, first question: there's 1 billion WAM tokens in total, right? And you say around 700 million ish in circulation right now. Can you kind of walk me through the setup of the WAM token? A way that's fair for the community and fair for everybody, and just kind of the system you use WAM in.
Okay. When we started out with the token, we had some, let's say, more experienced people doing this, and we had our tokenomics done in such a way that at that time made sense. We didn't change a thing since we started, right? We've seen a lot of teams dump their token, switch their token, change their tokenomics midway. We kept it exactly like we said from the beginning. And we said, okay, 40% goes towards community rewards. In terms of value, given that we launched, like, tokens were being launched back then, the fair launch token model was not, let's say, publicly accepted back then, and we didn't know about it. And we said, okay, how much can we give to our community for participating and for being close to the project. So we said, okay, 40%. We had a private sale, a public sale, like literally like things were done back then. And we had to understand, for instance, what inflation is in terms of actual feel for the token, right? Inflation is a big word. You hear it, economists say it, but when you actually have a token and you have to manage it and you see the effects of inflation like live on the chart, you really quickly understand a lot of economics. And now with a platform upgrade that we're making, these rewards will also be done or be given to the community if they also participate in the benefit for everybody. So we're changing from the extractive model that was done because we if I look back, it was a simplistic approach to asset handling, right? Because when you have a sellable asset on the open market, my logic says, okay, keep it and sell it sometime. You don't need it now. But that's not the general consensus in terms of what people actually do with an asset.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if I'm answering your question quite. So please press on if I'm.
No. I've got another question. Kind of leading. I've got more questions leading into the token and the tokenomics and the monetary side of things. So it was good for that question. Yes. So I think next question is kind of the tokenomics, the split of it, right? So the way the token is split, how do you make sure that it obviously, because you said the first initial setup of the tokenomics and it stayed like that and that's it, okay? And there's not really been iteration or it stayed as it is. Obviously, like you said, a lot of projects, they change and they make new tokens and try and reiterate. How do you make sure that that your tokenomics, which you've set out to have, is fair and the iteration over that and how it stayed versus how it's not stayed, and the split between the team and kind of what you have basically from the team side of things versus the user side of things? How does that look like over time? How is that kind of set out in the future, if you know what I mean?
Can you please elaborate on the fair thing that you mentioned?
Yeah, so
when you say fair, what do you think of?
So in terms of because there's projects out there, the tokenomics split, and again, everyone has a white paper. Everyone can go look at these on any project. So it's not a thing where you're trying to trick people. In terms of a project, it's all in the white paper, right? In terms of the split between how much a team gets or how much arbitrarily a team gets, whether that be direct or by other means, versus the split for the ecosystem as a whole, right? So, okay. In terms of where the token goes for the people, you know what I mean?
Okay. The way we have the tokenomics now is based on the advice that we got. But at the same time, what we learned was that we should not actually be any way, let's say, ashamed that we're for a profit company and the team needs an incentive, right? Yes. And our incentive is to actually grow the token because right now we're in a very, let's say, opportunity area of the price, right? It's really, really low. We went through the bear market like every other project.
Yeah.
And right now we have no more unlocks. We have no more distributing tokens. Okay. Everything can be bought on the open market, and we will start buying back once things start to pick up and the new version of the platform is up and running from the profits that we're making. Because in order to make a sustainable business, first we have to have profits, and then we also want to reinvest. Think of it like this. We've been at this for the past 6 years, right? It's not like a pump.fun project that started like today and 3 days from now it collapses, right? The dream is to build this platform to be such a huge success that everybody on planet Earth plays on WAM at least at some point. Yeah. Now, if that is the dream that I have, that means all that value has to be captured by the token. And everything that we do has to have the token around it as an economic activity. Now, in terms of fairness, everybody can purchase the token now at the prices they're at. They're low, like really good prices, if you will, right? And speculating on an asset, this is not the type of asset class, the GameFi tokens, that are worth speculating for the short term.
Right.
Because you cannot actually build something of value and worth in a short amount of time. It makes no sense.
No.
So that volatility, if somebody's looking for a quick buck, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So coming back, everything that we do and going forward is about capturing a lot of value to the token. And now, in terms of fairness, in order for the token to grow, there needs to be a lot of economic energy captured, right, in the ecosystem, captured in a good way, like a lot of the circle grows. So this is what we're thinking of, and it's the same thing like if you were to buy Disney shares in 1995 or Apple stock in 2003 or whatnot.
Okay.
It's just a lesson in history. By the way, these are the plans, and I'm very confident that we're going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's everybody's personal decision and analysis. Like, is this worth it? Are these guys going to make it? I'm there or I'm not? Or what's my investment strategy? Or if I'm calling it an investment or I'm calling it flipping, because this is a different mindset, by the way, investing versus flipping.
Yeah.
So these are all questions that everybody should ask themselves. Yeah. Do the proper research and then decide.
Exactly. I think there's a surface. I think there's different layers of understanding value long term versus short term, aka like you said, flipping versus investing. And I think it's very easy on a singular level of multiple levels. Very easy to tell if a token with a project is something you should invest in versus flipping. I think this is the example of investment for sure. You're doing stuff for the future, which will have longevity, and you will be here for the long run. So, absolutely, people should be investing. Obviously, not financial advice or anything, but yes, I know what you mean.
The purpose when I built the other companies, the users had no say. We didn't communicate with the users. They had nothing to gain. Everybody was having fun, but they saw a lot of ads. Right now, I hate ads with all my being, but they're still part of how things work online, right? And now we're building something different that can actually lift people up from poverty, if you will. Games, for instance, changed the way I look at. I learned business because of games. I learned programming, marketing, design, business development, hiring, staffing, anything because of games. So now the question is, this is why we have the platform idea. We're going to build a different, better platform than, for instance, Steam is for their games, Apple or Google. We're not even competing with them. First of all, the size difference is astronomical. So it's not about competing. It's about just building something, for instance, that I like. And I find a lot of people that like the same shit that I like.
Yeah.
This is how I see it. I had a lot of pain publishing games, keeping them there, protecting the IP, monetizing properly, making sure that publishers don't steal part of the revenue because it was not transparent and you could not check, making sure that loyal users get rewarded, but of course, if they contribute as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are all things that are part of the core philosophy that we have when building this.
Okay, right, yeah, because I mean, I sure like for the economic value, there has to be inflow and outflow, and there's marketplace. I think we have some. We will talk about this in a bit where we do have some questions on marketplace. But it's a different field, right? In terms of Steam, Epic Games, these sorts of people. It's kind of just distribution software. Obviously, they have their Steam SDKs where you can manage achievements and whatnot, but it's kind of a different field, right? Where you have a sphere where people can develop within your platform, and it's not so much like Steam isn't running the games. It's kind of a system where they're distributing it, right? So it's kind of a different field, in terms of how would you compare yourself to some of these distribution platforms? Because a lot of people at home, they would have known about Epic Games, they know about Steam. So how would you compare yourself in that aspect? A small question here, and doesn't have to be loaded.
So our focus is on HTML5 games, just to break the water in different parts. On making things run fast, secure, smooth on every device, regardless of the geographical position you're in, right? So this is the idea, just having fun with crypto on games with other people from around the world. And one of the most engaging formats for us was tournaments.
Yep.
Right. This is one of the reasons why the Miniclip guys wanted to invest in us, because they said, okay, usually hyper casual games get burned really fast, but the tournaments added on top of them, like a meta experience, added a whole new level of engagement, and people were competing. Think of it like this: we had 10,000 people tournaments in 3 days, competing and bashing each other. And one of the fun things that I didn't actually get to see it live, and I will in the next version, is the ability to trust somebody else, like to have fun. Like if we're friends, the natural thing, especially as men, is to just fuck around.
Yeah.
Hey, you suck. Your mother's fat, and all that shit.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's part of the entertainment, and it should be embedded. And no other platform has this for this type of content. Of course, you can play Counter-Strike, and you do that in the chat, right?
Yeah.
You do the same thing. Yeah. So now the idea is, okay, how can you do it with crypto? How can you do it with NFTs? And how can you do it with simple games that you play when you're commuting, on your toilet, when you're, I don't know, vomiting violently because you looked at the charts this morning? I don't know. Just pick your flavor and you play a bit of WAM.
Right.
On WAM, right?
Exactly. And so it's a website and you can just boom, play it right there, wherever you are.
Look, one of the things that attracted me, I'm a tech junkie, and I like especially web technologies, was the progressive web app technology that Google pioneered and pushed for quite a while now. And that makes that clicked in my head and said, okay, app stores are obsolete. App stores are obsolete. Of course, it was not mature enough, and now it is. But now with, for instance, progressive web apps, you no longer need to go through the hurdles of being on a store. That is important. You have a lot of distribution there. You have a lot of users that still use it, but it's no longer important. So that's one of the key things that will make crypto games, not necessarily WAM as a platform, but also crypto games as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, web GPU, WASM, in terms of being able to develop a lot better, and obviously shader usage with that web GPU. It makes the capabilities for online games, which you don't even have to download, a lot larger. Where web browsers can utilize your GPU and communicate with it directly. Right, so I'm sure that's a huge development kind of jump for WAM in terms of being able to make games which are beautiful and run smooth and are competitive. Because I'm sure with that sort of technology, you can make something which kind of combats pretty heavily with something you'd have to install on a PC and play it locally.
It makes no sense. Like literally today in 2025, it makes no sense. You should be able to click and play.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, perfect. So going back to tokenomics, only, in this sphere, only a few more questions, right? So in terms of the actual token itself, with the market cap being under 1 million, how do you see, obviously we talked about longevity versus, flipping. Where do you see WAM, the token itself, valuation and the technologies you're building and currently building for the future? How do you see WAM going forward in 2026, let's say? How do you see the token and its valuation moving forward?
I'm beyond optimistic from what I see, what we're doing, and especially the market is going towards positive moments.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I will be like a freaking hypocrite in order to estimate, right? I would just be reading coffee beans or whatever. What we want is pretty much clear. We want to be the #1 crypto gaming platform in the world.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched it, when you jump at the hoop and you touch it with your fingers, we kind of touched it, when we're going to be there pretty soon. And now, in terms of value accrual to the token, we really will see how the community will react to our latest creation, if you will. But I'm pretty confident they will be excited. And one of the things that we missed when we started was taking feedback from actual crypto community, not Web2 people.
Yeah.
And this will be at the core of what we're doing forward, because we're building stuff and we're building a platform that makes sense, especially for crypto native people that understand it.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So I think we've gone over tokenomics and the token itself, pretty thoroughly. I kind of want to move towards technologies and kind of the actual workings of WAM right now. So the first question I have, kind of in this sphere topic, we kind of talked a bit about the idea of people being able to interact with WAM for the future as well. You mentioned as you had your company or what you had built previously, not WAM. Previously you built a large following of people. There wasn't really that communication between the user and the company itself for the development forward. And obviously this is where DAOs kind of come into place, pretty much across the board for crypto. So in terms of your DAO, which is obviously still being built and works, right? The system, which most DAOs have the WIP token, WAM improvement points, I believe that is right. So in terms of the DAO itself and how you plan to have that working for small and big people for the token, how do you plan going forward to build this DAO where you make sure that the small players who might not have the direct one-to-one for this token can still interact and take part a significant value in this DAO?
So there are two things. Most of the DAOs that operate today don't actually have business objectives behind them in terms of, okay, we have to move a company and we have to move the project and the team towards a certain direction.
Yeah.
This is why some of them are effective and some of them are not, right? So in terms of, okay, how we're going to actually make this work, first of all, with the community, right? Even with this topic, like getting the proper feedback. Secondly, when it comes to ideas and shaping a company and a project that is going to be like $1 billion or $5 billion in market cap and changing how people play and how they're experiencing crypto, this will also come from people that use it and give us feedback. That means regardless of the token holding size you have, your ideas might be gold, right? And these are the people that should be rewarded, regardless if they have access in a DAO with their wallet size.
Yeah.
So from this perspective, wallet size should not matter.
Okay, perfect.
Value, I mean, look, it's definitely a filter when, for instance, somebody puts their money where their mouth is. I have this great idea and you should implement it. Okay, put your money where your mouth is. Hold these amount of tokens, put it out like for everybody to see, and then we're gonna see if we're implementing, and not voting wise necessarily, because we have to, as a team, execute on that. Yeah. So if something gets voted and it makes no sense, or it's like science fiction in terms of what can be done, the process itself makes little sense for the entire thing.
Yeah. Okay, right, that makes sense. Okay, so next one, jumping from the DAO now. You have WAM Farm. Before I get into this next question, could you explain a bit about what that is, the WAM Farm technology?
So we saw that a lot of people that wanted to participate in growing WAM or spreading the word were not necessarily gamers. They just wanted to have the token and invite friends and spread the word. And many apps on Telegram started getting traction, and we looked into that and said, okay, this is really amazing what they did there. Telegram is an amazing piece of technology and app. Really, I'm using apps all day.
Yeah,
and I can see the difference. I can see how it feels, how you touch it, how things happen on the screen, and Telegram is doing a really amazing job. And we said, okay, let's build something for Telegram where people can easily go in and out of the mini app, and they share and they connect their socials. And it was actually fun. It was a fun project to do, basically taking out the rewards center from an app
Right.
from our gaming app, and just focusing it more on social activities that can bring value in terms of virality and spreading the word on X and whatnot.
Okay.
So that was the idea behind it. So to remove the gaming part,
Yep.
that not everybody is focusing on that, and just allow people to not install another app, just use the Telegram that you're using daily, and just click on a button, connect your socials, and do your stuff.
And let people get involved with WAM and not necessarily on the full gaming side and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of WAM Farm, it has a lot of people within that that app and community already on there since about 2024. A lot of people have been getting involved in that sector, right? So just on a basic level, in terms of the functionality of WAM, how do you keep that moving? How do you operate WAM Farm for it to be profitable and worthwhile people's times and efforts without it drying up and just being something which fizzles out?
Okay, so it would saying it's like not an active necessity, like you don't need to actively be involved in that is stupid. But like everything we've seen, it has cycles, and even the farm has engagement based on where we are in the market. We saw the numbers of users growing quite rapidly when we started launching, and once the market went down and the people's expectations were, okay, we're going to do an airdrop or we're going to launch our vampires collection in a dry market, we stopped doing that because it makes no sense for everybody, right? So in terms of engagement, we're still seeing the best opportunities with the games that we have. We have this side app and side tool to push things forward. We have about 11,600 people in the farm right now. About 3,000 connected their X accounts. 6,000 have their bot enabled, so we can actually communicate with them through messaging. But everything is deemed to work at a certain time. And now the focus for us is, okay, we get the new version of the app ready because we have already the farm, the mechanism to spread the word, especially in the crypto sphere. And then we're going to combine and use them both to grow, plus the strategies that we know that work.
Okay.
So this is the idea with the WAM farm and how we're going to keep it running. It actually works quite well. I don't know if you've seen it, if you've...
a bit, yeah.
Okay, so it's got everything that is needed to make things engaging, but now we're focusing on the platform to get it done.
Okay, right. Okay, perfect. So, again, in the same field of just technologies within WAM, you have the AI kind of component within the game sphere, right? So, and I've seen this outside of crypto as well, but it's not really been widely used. But so it's interesting to see it being used with WAM, being able to analyze kind of how people are playing and try to aim to stop cheaters. Because again, another big thing, if you're going to have competitive tournament-based apps, the biggest question, even crypto or not, is going to be, how do I stop cheaters? How do I make sure it's fair for me to play against somebody and make sure they're not cheating, right? So obviously, with this system you have to help aid that. In terms of AI, the chance of things getting wrong, you see this on the news, things can go wrong. The amount of prompt engineering hacks there's been where people can post something on Reddit and all of a sudden they've posted their link to their credentials somewhere, right? So how do you make sure that that people who could have the chance of being unfairly judged by an AI, by this AI system, right? How do you make sure that it's fair, not only for someone who's being cheated against, but for someone who could also be falsely, accused?
Well, this is a hard question. So in terms of finding out cheaters and you said prompts, what we had in mind as an architecture for a system that is decentralized and gives rewards was to take screenshots at certain intervals that get sent out to other players that validate the score, and they get a certain consensus. Okay, the score is this much, and you're valid, right? However, this is proving to be a bit more of a difficult task in terms of having the right communication speed, because this can easily bottleneck in terms of internet connection, right? So it's still work in progress and making it right. Or if we don't make it right, we're just going to throw it out the trash and figure out something else, because the problem still remains, and we're not the only ones having this problem. Exactly like you mentioned, if you're in a competitive environment, the most important thing is to have a fair environment, and we've seen it firsthand. Over the past 3 years, we've seen so many cheating attempts and hacks, and you have no idea. Some of them were we just sat in the office and we were like, who thinks of this and why, right? So we right now we have a very manual system where we actually review the tournament outcomes. But going forward, of course, now with the capabilities of AI and agents, we can actually analyze and measure the data more efficiently and faster to actually give the results like instantly, or just like in a few seconds, right? So we eliminate the need for the human factor, but we will also have it in terms of observability, right? We're going to still be able to see who does what and why if something happens. If something happens, like we're gonna, and this is my expectation, the tournaments will grow, and we're introducing two new game modes, and I'm going to show you in a bit. That will attract a lot of people, and we need to be able to help good players that stumble. Let's say the AI made a mess, or I don't know, something happened. We need to be able to see it. Or they compete in the tournament and they flag somebody and they say, okay, that guy is a cheater, check him out. We should be able to see this.
Perfect, right? So AI kind of does the brunt work of analyzing all of it in one go, and then instead of it acting upon that, it has the option to either act. Is it going to be a system where it can act upon that itself, or is it a system where it can act upon that and then you can revert that, or something you have to do manually no matter what?
Well, when you have, for instance, a certain deviation from a median type of activity, then okay, hey guy, check this out. Otherwise, I can decide for myself because the numbers are in a certain area.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, right, all right. So, kind of moving towards the experience of WAM right now, right? So, in terms of partnerships, so you've teamed up with quite a few people, Moonberg, Olympics, Julian, I believe as well. So in terms of the partnerships you've had, kind of as a whole for WAM, which one do you think has really changed the game in terms of which one's helped you the most? Which one's really brought, has it like boosted WAM forward a bit?
You're going to be surprised, but this is going to be Wolf Swap all day.
It's good to hear that.
And look, most people talk and do shit. When it comes in terms of helping, they'd rather skin you alive with stupid ass information or malicious intent information, just for the fun of it. And we've had this experience quite a lot. Or some of them are just benign, like, I don't know, holy water. Nothing happens, nothing gets done, but there's no upside, no downside. And this is the complete opposite what we've learned with Woolsop. We've been friends for quite a few years, 2-3 years. We met each other on local events, and we started connecting. I'm doing this, you're doing that. And Alex is a really, really cool guy. And he said, okay, if you come to Kronos, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to meet a lot of people that are actually interested and curious about the entire fucking thing. Plus, I can actually introduce you and give you a hand. And he did exactly that.
Right.
So this is why we're excited, number one. Number two, we're really grateful because of that. And as a token of our appreciation, I'm going to show you what we did in the new version of the platform.
I mean, you hear it from, so many people you talk to, whether that be developers or part of the community. Anyone you speak to, there's never a bad word with Kronos. Everyone is so happy to be a part of the community and be involved with building there. So, I mean, saying that, you said you should be surprised of saying Wolfswap, but I'm not surprised in the slightest. So, WAM, again, a bit on the current goings of WAM, right? So, the Blockchain Game Award 2024, WAM got nominated, right? Has that kind of changed the game? Has that affected WAM in any way, being within that kind of sphere of being recognized in that sort of way at that kind of award event? Has it helped you in any way,
No,
helped you grow?
absolutely nothing. But what it did was it was, let's say, confirming for us as a team that we're getting noticed. But in terms of effects in the market, if it's a shitty market, you can be the fucking Nobel Prize winner for, I don't know, inventing pink salt. Nobody cares, right? And it's actually natural for that to happen. But for us as a team, it was another confirmation that we're doing something right and we're on the right track. Plus of the stats, plus the market research, and being part of different groups. Like one of them is the Blockchain Game Alliance, and then it's Chronos, and we've been on BNB chain as well, and learning and seeing what we're doing compared to the market and other people. So it was a confirmation that not only we're doing something right, but we are on the right track, and that we are in let's say pole position to do something great. Of course, executing it and making it right is still the number one priority, and actually that is the one thing that makes it a success. So okay, we have the awards. I'm very, very, very proud of the team and what we have achieved so far, but we're not going to sleep on that. It's just a proof that we're not freaking scammers. We're live. We see our face. We're participating in the great fights and the great competitions in the space, but our focus is on the community and bringing actual value. And chasing accolades, I would say at the beginning it was exciting, right? We got an award, we got nominated, but we soon learned that that means shit. The award that we're gonna get is from users who say, I don't know what WAM does right, but it's just fun and I'm just playing and it brings me joy and profit.
Right. So it's a recognition of your art, not the art itself. It's what you're actually doing is really what matters.
Yeah.
Right. So we also talked a bit about earlier on, when you started, the kind of time frame WAM's gone through, pretty much starting straight away getting involved with crypto and then immediately going through, the roughs of crypto, and then, more things happened along. So, and maybe not outside of crypto, rough things happened. So you weathered a lot of, difficulty, right, during this kind of lifespan for WAM. What's kind of kept you pushing forward? What's kept you staying strong and moving forward with WAM and really kind of seeing that light going forward?
You want the philosophical answer? I'm not going to give you the philosophical answer. I'm going to give you the medical answer, pure insanity. Like pure freaking insanity. One of the things that have defined the way I see the world is through the lens of martial arts. I've been a student of martial arts for the past 20 years, and nothing ever comes easy and cheap and fast in martial arts. If you want to get to a black belt, and I reached that level last Christmas after 12 years doing Aikido, right? You have to show up, go to the gym, fuck your knees, fuck your elbows, fuck your whatever, and keep going, enjoy the pain, be the pain, right? Enjoy the pain, be the pain, like the pain. And at some point, you start transitioning. This is not the transitioning that we've been taught to understand, but the actual process of transformation from a rookie, from somebody who's a beginner to a more experienced beginner, right? So this is how I see the world. Now, coming back to WAM, it's been not difficult. I think the most difficult thing I've personally tried to do, like ever.
Right.
And I still don't see it as a bad thing. I just wanted to prove people that we're on the right track, we're the right team, we have the right vibe, we have the right knowledge, and the market is going where we tell it it's going to go, because we've been in this market for quite a while, and we see the transform, and we see the shiny thing just waving, and say, okay, I'm right here, but you have to make the steps toward that goal.
Yep.
chances are we're gonna learn by fucking things up. Some things will get fucked up. This is the natural process of creating something. But our resolve is pretty clear, and our direction is towards what we've been building so far, because we had so many confirmations along the way.
Yep. Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I liked what you said with you go from a beginner to an experienced beginner. You know, I mean, I think there's so much like people do, and they expect, you know, in 6 months they'll know everything they ever need to know, and they'll constantly just be the master of everything. If they spend, they'll just spend 2 weeks doing something, and they become the best ever. So I do really like that that mentality.
You know why? Do you know why this happens?
Go on.
Do you know why the time element is important?
Why?
Because in order to do things automatically and have the proper reflexes, you need the muscle memory.
Yeah.
And muscle memory only forms over time, over repetition of the same thing. So just like in martial arts, if you are to be a master at a certain technique or a certain angle, you need to master, I don't know, spending 18 hours a day coding and testing and all that shit, learning what somebody who's dumping your token is like for the 11,000 times, right? And all these experiences form towards being, let's say, I don't know the English term for it, like forged metals, right?
Yeah.
You harden yourself and you understand, okay, these are phases that you need to go through. Of course, we had, for instance, so many near-death moments. Like, I think death was bored at a point.
Yep.
Like, okay, like, man, those guys call me up, I just show up, and you're still breathing. Fuck, man, I have some shit to do. So just do your stuff. Hopefully, it will remain like this, and we give our best efforts to not only stay alive but to thrive. But you know, usually the game is whoever's alive at the end of the match wins, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's not about completely beating the person and you be completely fine. It's just outliving the other person, or especially in crypto as well. It's like the amount of projects you see just come and leave like a moth and just like flying around, and it's like the amount of projects which promise great things. It's really just being there is the most important part. You know, but yeah.
Well, from our cohort of projects that launched with us in the same time frame, I think you can count us on one hand, and we're still here. And we had a lot of shit to go through.
Yep.
And usually, I could see the way you win in crypto is by beating everyone with your face, right? You beat their punches with your face, and you win. So this is the sport.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think most of success, especially in any regard, especially in crypto, being the topic we're talking about, you know, a lot of projects, they might not be the best, which could have ever done it, but they've just been here the longest, and people know about them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think to kind of wrap things up, only, you know, a few more questions now. It's been brilliant so far, and again, I do appreciate you coming here. Kind of talking about the future for WAM and kind of what you have planned and what that could mean and just going forward. So what I have is, so you have your games right now, and you know, we kind of spoke a bit about, you know, the business side of things and difficulty you faced. Has there been much difficulty in terms of like regulations, obviously maybe licensing and what that could be? And do you have anything planned going forward which could have difficulty for WAM in terms of the reiteration over itself, a certain game or something you have which could kind of face difficulty going forward?
Given that we live in Europe, I would say we're in the right place. There are no regulation. The government supports you, and sarcasm is the language that we all speak, right? So, and then nothing that I just said is actually true. But one other thing that we must adopt, and this is the philosophy that I want for me personally and for WAM and for everybody. If we're going to win this, we're going to fucking war. And if we're going to war, we're going to war with old ideas, old habits, old ways of doing things that are no longer valid. And if we're going to win, we cannot do it by being afraid of consequences. Because we're not shipping fucking drugs or something. We're just inventing new ways of doing things. Now, if some fuckers in Brussels or some part of the world decide that even in 2025, it's better to support startups by smothering with all sorts of regulation, they have another thing coming. And look, crypto is about revolutionary ideas, bold people, courageous actions, and just moving one step at a time. What we'll do if we trigger something, I don't know, I don't care. We'll learn as we go.
Yeah.
Because the amount of shit that you have to go through as a European company just to be fucking alive would make most people quit from the get-go. And if we were to focus on that, we would not get anything done.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, I think to be in crypto, you already have that certain level of, you kind of expect this. There's always going to be difficulty regulations, especially crypto growing and going forward. I mean, especially as of late, anyway, like the amount of things occurring in America, especially, obviously, which is the big news anyway. In the difficulty already when crypto's such a big thing, and there's still the little things of difficulty in terms of law. Because again, to change the law, it's like seems to take 10 years just for one little thing. So I know what you mean in terms of you already have to have that certain level of expectancy of difficulty to even be involved in crypto for a company. But anyway, so again, on topic of the future of WAM, your roadmap, okay? The things you have planned are ginormous, right? So, the game creation, kind of the tooling you have for game creation going forward, the metaverse kind of aspect, Wilder Worlds partnership, all this coming together and all this planned for the future for WAM. How do you make sure that this is something you can consistently work towards going forward, and it's not just ideas which kind of fizzle out and don't really get introduced?
Here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to chat with the community and validate or invalidate if they're needed. These ideas were born out of the first experience of building other gaming companies. Secondly, seeing the market and how it behaves with new technologies, especially with the metaverse and what happened, and figuring out for each where the opportunity is. But at the same time, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to drastically cut shit that doesn't work. And in order to do things that are meaningful for everybody, we need to put a lot of ideas out there. I'm a tinker by nature, so I like to poke around and see what does this button do, this other button do. This is my nature. But that doesn't mean every idea is gonna fly. By the way, my battery will die out soon, so before that happens, I want to show you a quick preview of how WAM is gonna look like.
Sure.
And let's see, allow, okay, Chrome tab, okay, no, not that one.
It's actually good that you're showing this because that was actually the last question, being the new app you're building for Q4 with the technology you have. It's actually exactly what I was going to ask you for the last question, so I'm quite glad.
So do you see my screen?
Yes, let me just crop it and then we can cut it. There we go.
Okay. Can you see it?
2 seconds. And yes.
Okay. So this is the new version, how it's going to look like. And we're still working on a lot of things, different new layout, a desktop version. A lot of things will be placed here, like communities. For instance, you have here different sections. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is just the new ways of playing, which are 3 ways, right?
Right.
You can play it casually. You can play it in tournament mode, whatever tournament you like, or like retard mode, degen, which is a completely new thing for us. And we made it. We made the new platform from the ground up to be easy to use, have all the information at your fingertips. And one of the things that I mentioned, and Alex did not see this, is you can change themes, right?
Right.
And one of the themes is going to be the Wolf Swap theme, and these are all available if, for instance, you're part of the Wolfie community. The same thing for us with the vampires, and integrating as much as possible digital assets that actually make sense.
Yep.
Right. So this is just a short preview. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to make the most of the last 5 minutes.
Yep.
And this is what we're working on. And the target is to be live as soon as possible.
Right.
So keep your eyes on what we're doing. And if you have a feel, and I'm talking with the audience and with everybody, that you can actually contribute to the success that we're going towards, feel free to DM me or reach out, and let's make it happen.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I mean, the final remarks of what I was going to go for with the final question was just going to be what are you doing right now in terms of Q4, and how are you making this with a lot of complex technologies and kind of systems within WAM which will obviously benefit all the users, which obviously quite intricate, and how you're making it simple. But obviously, as we saw there in that preview, it looks very modularized. It looks very linear. And are you basically are you focusing for the mobile and web? So obviously, as
yes.
people on mobile and as people on web,
yeah,
and the ease of use there, right? Okay, so I mean, perfect. So I think we've covered everything we had so far. Again, thank you so much for being here. The last thing I will ask
Thank you as well.
Last thing before we go off is there anything I've missed out, anything I haven't asked you which you're doing or planning or wanted to say to the audience which you think they will appreciate hearing?
I think you covered everything, but I think they will appreciate hearing that we're building the future of crypto gaming, and if they want to be part of it, join us, either as a token holder or as a participant, or you want to give us feedback, or you want to be involved. One of the ways you can earn, for instance, on WAM is going to be the on-chain referral system that we're going to have. This is something that is actually already done. And check us out. Don't take my word for it. Check the progress, check the background, do your due diligence. And I'm promising you, you're not going to be dissatisfied where we're going, because our plan is to be the #1 platform, and that means a very considerate market cap that reflects that position, and also a lot of people that will enjoy exactly the shit that we're building and we're doing.
Right.
So just be part of it. Right. This is my invite to everybody.
Absolutely. And, we will, in the description, leave all your links, socials and WAM itself. So if you do want to go check it out, obviously go to the description and you can find everything there. But I mean, obviously, we've covered everything. I want to say my thank yous. Thank you so much for joining us on In the Trenches. Thank you for being here and talking a bit about WAM. I think this was a brilliant conversation. I think people really appreciate you, sharing everything in between the old and the new of WAM. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brogan. I appreciate it as well.
Okay, well.
Ciao.
So that was my conversation with WAM. If you enjoyed and you want to know some more, go down to the description where you will find all their links. And while you're down there, you might as well subscribe, and turn notifications on so you never miss out on another In the Trenches video. But that is it from me. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.